This A20 amp is not lesser of an amp than the big Class A brands. It's just a different flavor. And if you're looking for that flavor, your search may have just ended. Now, hey guys, it's been a little while since I uploaded a video. Today I'm going to talk about the Galion A20 power amp. I've had it here for almost 4 months, so I think I'm ready to spill the beans on this amplifier. But the reason I haven't done many videos over the last 2 weeks is because of this. I literally, over the past few days, built a brand new deck and walkway for our house because our other one was rotted underneath. So I had to reframe, build an all new deck and boardwalk. And I've been working my butt off on this. Now I'm done with it, so I'm back to making videos right here. So let's get into the Galion A20 TS A20 power amp review. All Class A, guys. Welcome back, everybody. So today I want to talk about a 2-channel amplifier that is Class A in operation, full stop, 20 watts per channel, made in Canada with all parts inside sourced from North America. This is the Galion A20 power amp, and I've been listening to this amp for the past, it's been close to 3.5, 4 months now that I've had it here. So this review is after some long-term listening, which is pretty cool because the honeymoon phase has ended. I've gotten into listening to this with various preamplifiers and various speakers. I have learned what its character is, and I've even compared it to other amplifiers over these past 3.5, 4 months. So Galion is a company run and owned and operated by Thomas Tan. And now I've reviewed Galion products in the past. Thomas started as a YouTube reviewer, much like myself and others who do this here on YouTube. And he decided he wanted to start a company and make his own brand of HiFi products. And some people on the internet think that's a bad idea, and some people are neutral to it. I happen to think that it was an awesome idea because as a reviewer, and Thomas has heard so many amplifiers, so many speakers, so many preamps, so many DACs, he has learned, like others who get to hear so much gear in their space, he has learned what he likes, what he dislikes. He has heard amps that sound bad. He has heard amps that sound remarkable. And Thomas has an ear for music. So it's only natural that someone like a YouTube reviewer would be able to come up with a product of their own in the realm that they review to make it more affordable, better sounding. You know, that would be my goal if I was making an amplifier, and accessible to everyone. So Galion has quite a few products. I reviewed their speakers, 2 sets of speakers, and that last one, that passion project in the speaker, that Voyager Mark II SE, really, really awesome little speaker for under $1,000. And then he has his tube integrated amps. I currently have the TS34 here in for review. I've had it for a month and a half, maybe 2 months. I don't even know the way time goes, but I've been listening to it a lot, and I've listened to it side by side with the A20. He also has the TS A75, which I reviewed a while back, which was his first power amp that he called a giant killer. So this A20 from Thomas is really, it started as a passion project for him, much like those Voyager Mark II SE speakers. He wanted to have it built in Canada. He wanted to source the parts from North America. And not only that, but he used all high quality parts in this amp. The capacitors on the Galion website, he says, cost $400, where a lot of amps use $25 capacitors. This amp is all quality inside and out. Now the casing, the black metal casing with the heat sinks on the side, it has the Galion branding with a big, big ship on it. If it were me, I would have made the ship a little smaller, but it does look striking to me. I like it better than the look of the TS A75. But this is a much different amp than the TS A75 is. The TS A75 is more about power, dynamics, and impact, where the A20 is more about sweetness, soul stirring, hidden details, holographic soundstage, and Thomas really likes that airiness in the treble, and he brought it to the A20, and it's pretty remarkable. Now, I have heard a lot of Class A amps over the years, some of them power amps, some of them integrated. I'll talk more about the power amp side of things. About a month and a half ago, I brought in a Pass Labs XA25, which is the natural competitor to the A20. You have Pass Labs, made in the USA, designed by Nelson Pass. Then you have the A20 brought to life by a YouTube reviewer, but it was designed as on the front panel says designed by Fabian. So Thomas is not the engineer in building these, but Thomas does tune them. So he'll get the amp from the guy creating it, and Thomas will tune it, right, by using different capacitors and different parts until it gets to what he had envisioned for this passion project. And he calls it a passion project because he spent the money to make it. He didn't cheap out anywhere, from the casing to the insides to the capacitors to the transformers. Everything is quality. Now, on the back, this amp has very simple RCA inputs, so there are no balanced inputs here, and it has traditional speaker outputs. Of course, the preamp you use will really change the sound of the amp. Let's talk about the sound of the amp. Now, when I used it with, I think I first used it with a Burson Voyager as a preamp. Now, the Burson is a headphone amp, but it's also a remarkable preamp, and it has detail. It's very open sounding. It's more a little bit leaner in the mids than some preamps that introduce warmth. That Burson runs super hot, hotter than the A20. And before I get started on the sound, the A20 is Class A, and Class A amps are known to run hot. This one runs less hot than all other Class A amps I've had. So that's pretty cool either. It's not going to heat my room up, and it hasn't heated my room up. But when you touch it, you can feel it getting warm, slightly hot. But if I put my hand on, say, a Pass Labs XA25, right, or the XA60.8s, those get much hotter, it seems like, at least in my experience. So as for the sound with the Burson Voyager, the sound was very open, very lightning quick, very detailed, and the treble was airy, the mid-range was holographic and very transparent, and the bass was very bombastic, very low, deep bass, not so much in regards to the mid-range bass plumping out. When I tried it with a Pass Labs XP12 preamp, things warmed up a bit with the A20. The highs were a little more softer, but not soft. They were still extended and airy. The mid-range was fuller throated, and the bass was a little more prevalent, a little bit more prevalent in the lower mids area, with still that bombastic bass in the bottom. I tried it with an AGD Alto 2 preamp, and that brought out more of the airiness, more of the crystalline highs, and more of that very transparent and very three-dimensional mid-range. Again, the bass was awesome. Now, I tested this with various speakers: Triangle Magellan Duetto 40th Anniversaries, Qualio IQ Ultras, Borison X2, the Galion Voyager Mark II SEs, the Augie, Closer Acoustics Augie and Bob combo. And to sum it up, I'm not going to go into detail about how each speaker sounded, because at the end of the day, the A20 kept the same character of sound. And it's exactly what Thomas describes on the website for the Galion amp. It's airy in the treble. It's going to bring you every little detail in the mix, and it's going to bring it out in such a realistic way. Live recordings with this amp are phenomenal, really, really phenomenal. Now, it's not going to produce this big, fat, warm mid-range like some Class A amps that I've had in the past do. But compared to something like the Pass XA25, which is a reference standard, it's a known, beautiful sounding quality amplifier that a lot of people own and a lot of people love. Now, I believe it's quite a bit more in cost than the A20. So if you directly compare those two, the pass is a little warmer and richer in the mid-band, but not as detailed or airy in the treble. The bass on the pass is pretty much equivalent to the bass on the A20 in my room with my speakers. There's no glaring, ooh, this amp is better than this amp, though one costs thousands more. In fact, there were times I preferred the A20 to the XA25, and maybe one or two times I slightly preferred the XA25. And that just kept telling me over and over again just how good the A20 is. Now, Thomas's passion projects, like his Voyager Mark II SEs, are very, very impressive. I love when he does these because he's using and building the amp to the best he can for the money spent. And while this amp is not cheap, I think it comes in at around $3,700, $3,750. But as it says on the Galion website, and I agree, this can be a lifetime amp. You place it in your cabinet, you place it on your shelf, and it's done. You can change preamps to change the flavor of the sound. And of course, you can change your DACs to change the flavor of the sound. But at the end of the day, this is a beautiful, well-constructed, well-thought-out amplifier that delivers Class A performance with less heat and a beautiful holographic three-dimensional sound. And I'm getting the feeling that that's the sound Thomas prefers in his personal system and listening sessions, right? Because it seems like his TS34 has that airiness and that really beautiful vibe, but the TS34 has a little more glow and warmth in the mid-range due to those EL34 tubes. So Thomas is really doing some really great things for the hi-fi community by releasing products that are really top tier, but will save you thousands of dollars. And that's how I look at it. This A20 amp is not lesser of an amp than the big Class A brands. It's just a different flavor. And if you're looking for that flavor, you're looking for something holographic and airy, your search may have just ended. Now, with the Qualio IQ speakers, this amp was very airy up top, but it projected a little more mid-range warmth than the $11,000 AGD duet amps, which are absolutely mind-blowing gorgeous. The A20 was hanging right there with those exotic amps when it came to liveliness, when it came to reproducing a recording where you can actually close your eyes and feel as if you're at that venue listening to the concert live, of course, if you jack up the volume. With the Triangle Duetto 40th, there was a little bit more warmth in the mids, but these speakers have a little bit of warmth in the mids, very open up top, and the A20 brought out that beautiful glow in the treble, and again, it was holographic and three-dimensional. With the Voyager Mark II SEs, and those are 85, I think they're 85 or are they 83? They're harder to drive speakers. They love power. But in my 13 by 18 room, one of my favorite combinations was, I believe, the Pass Labs XP12 going into the A20 powering those Galion Voyager speakers. Beautiful, beautiful sound, and those speakers sold for $995. It was just a beautiful sound in the room, a little bit of warmth from the speakers because they have that Harbeth-like mid-range and that B&W top end I spoke about in the review. No matter what speakers I drove with it, the Borison X2s. Now, with a lot of amps in this room, the Borison sound a little too warm. For example, with my Electro Compagnie ECI 6DX2, the Borisons are a little bit too much of a good thing in here. But with the A20, and say the Burson powering them, the Burson Voyager as the preamp, I should say, they became a little more alive, a little more sparkly, and a little more dynamic and impactful. So this amp never failed to power to any level I wanted, any of the speakers I have here. It never failed. In general, it doesn't make noise. It's pretty quiet. I mean, if I put my ear up to it, I might hear a little bit of transformer hum. Nothing you hear at your seat, and most amps with transformers will give you this little bit of hum if you put your ear to it. What I don't like is when you walk away mid-room and you're hearing this buzzing from a transformer, which I have had happen quite a few times. The Galion A20 is fairly quiet. I'd say it's one of the quietest Class A power amps I've had through here. And I really, really have enjoyed having this amplifier here because it showed me a couple of things. It showed me that, and I've already known these things, but I should say that it validated these things again and again. You don't have to spend $10,000, $15,000 for an amplifier from an exotic brand. There are options out there that get you a similar vibe and sometimes an even cooler vibe, a nicer vibe. I don't want to use the word better anymore because these things are not better or worse. They're just different. But many times, most of the time, I preferred the A20 to some of these other big name brands. And some of them I won't mention, but this is a phenomenal amp from Thomas. Now, if you go to the Galion website, he has all the details about this passion project, the parts he used. There's reviews from people who bought it and actually own it, and you can read those there as well. Don't take my word for it. There's other reviews, I believe, on YouTube. Steve Gutenberg did a review, and I did just watch his review the other day. And I agree with him on everything he said about the amplifier. I disagree with him that it's weird that a YouTube reviewer started an audio company because I think a reviewer would have one of the better ears for being a manufacturer of high-end. And Thomas tunes all of his products with his own ear, from what I understand. So I've really fallen for a few of Thomas's products. Now, I have his TS34 tube integrated here, and it is a lower cost option. It's under 3K, I believe, but that has such a silky, seductive, sweet sound in the mid-range, so smooth. It's different from the A20. The A20 is more, if you like, the transparency and openness and realism. It competes with amps at least twice its cost. So the Galion A20 power amp is a home run from Thomas. You can't go wrong with it in your system. It has more grunt and power to drive more speakers than you would think. It doesn't sound any less powerful than amps I have here that are 150 watts per channel. It drives my speakers with absolute ease, and I was very impressed with what Thomas did with the A20. So there you go. That's my easy review of the Galion A20. There's not much else to say. There's not much more to go in depth about, other than it's a phenomenal amplifier. I found no flaws. And with it being made in Canada, parts inside sourced from North America, and I must say quality, high quality parts, it's a win-win. It's a grand slam. You can't go wrong if you're looking for that Class A sound, but one with holographic imaging, a three-dimensionality to it, layers, airy treble, clean, and very detailed. It's one of those where the hidden details can come out and spook you if your speakers are up for it. I've gotten many goosebumps on many nights listening to the A20. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching and have an amazing rest of your day.